The movie begins in Costa Rica, where we see Dr. Michael Morbius arriving at a cave with his team to capture a special breed of bat known as vampire bats. While his team is preparing their trap, Morbius volunteers to lure the bats out by cutting his hand and exposing his blood. Moments later, a swarm of bats begin to fly out. While his team members retreat, Morbius remains there as if he's waiting for something. In the next scene, we're taken to 25 years earlier in Greece. Since young, Morbius had an incurable blood disease, which makes him spend his entire life at the hospital. He's treated by Dr. Nicholas, who doesn't sugarcoat it when he tells Morbius there's no cure for his disease. Several other kids who join Morbius in the hospital die untimely, and eventually he gets another partner, Lucien. When Lucien arrives at the hospital, Morbius nicknames him Milo, his go-to name for all bed partners. Milo ponders Morbius's dream of a cure, but Morbius dashes his hopes, saying there's no remedy, and they'll face this fate forever. They peek through the window, spotting healthy school kids, while advising Milo not to go out when the kids are leaving school. As they talk, Milo's life support gets disconnected, and he collapses. At that instant, Morbius swiftly repairs the machine by removing the affected cable with his ballpoint pen. Nicholas is impressed by what Morbius has done, and he calls him a genius. As a result, Nicholas plans to send him to an exclusive medical school in New York to further groom his skills there. As Morbius leaves for school, Nicholas continues to take care of Milo. Morbius leaves Milo a letter promising to return with a cure, but it accidentally lands in the hands of school bullies. Fortunately, Nicholas comes to the rescue and takes him back to the hospital. Some years later, Morbius became one of the best surgeons. Even at the age of 19, he creates artificial blood to save humans, and he is called to receive an award from the King of Sweden, which he rejects. Morbius works at a hospital in New York with his colleague, Martine. He works very closely with one of his patients, Anna, who also suffers from the same disease. One day, Martine calls him and reveals that she knows he is doing some illegal experiments. It is revealed that he has kept the vampire bats for further research, as he believes that they could be the key to finding a cure for his disease. Though Martine advises him against it, he feels the need to find the cure one day, at least to fulfill his promise to his best friend, Milo. He proceeds to inject the serum created from the vampire bat's blood into a test rat, but it struggles and dies, so he assumes the experiment failed. Anna's condition suddenly acts up, so they quickly attend to her. Moments later, the test rat suddenly regains consciousness and catches Martine's attention. She informs Morbius, who is in disbelief. In the next scene, Morbius announces the good news to Milo. Since Milo's family is rich and he has been funding the research, Morbius requests more funds from him to continue the experiment. He says it will be done on international waters as it could be dangerous, and not exactly legal because he plans to use himself as a test subject. Milo gives him the support and he proceeds with his plan on a ship. He makes his final test to ensure the serum is safe so that he can use it on himself. Martine proceeds to inject him with the serum and buckles him up again. He starts experiencing discomfort but stabilizes shortly after. A crew member enters to check on them but soon realizes Morbius is missing. They enter the room only to notice Morbius crawling on the ceiling, realizing that something is wrong. He decides to shoot him but fails, as Morbius is now able to move at a superhuman speed. He soon goes out of control and breaks out of the room, killing the other crew members who try to shoot him down. While Martine collapses on the ground, Morbius has become a monster, so he continues killing more of the crew members and eventually transforms back into his human form. He finds himself in a better body shape while trying to find out what has happened. After looking at the CCTV footage, he is shocked at what he has done, so he deletes all of them and calls for the authorities before jumping into the water. News outlets carry the news of what had happened, although they don't know the real cause. Morbius is now able to move freely, and he visits Martine in the hospital before returning to his lab. Whenever he feels weak, he will need to depend on artificial blood to return to normal again. He explains he can now do things normal humans can't do, and he feels good. He also explains he can survive with artificial blood for just 6 hours, and the duration decreases with time. Therefore, he needs to control his thirst for blood because he doesn't want the chaotic situation to happen again. Besides, the vampire bats don't attack him. They see him as their own species, and he goes into isolation to see what would happen if he doesn't drink blood. While he struggles with becoming a vampire, Milo visits him to know the outcome of the experiment. He asks Milo to give him blood, and after he drinks it, he walks out of isolation with his 2 legs. So Milo realizes the experiment worked. However, he tells Milo that he has made a great mistake. Milo doesn't care about the mistake he claims he made. He just wants to be cured. Morbius refuses to give Milo the vaccine, claiming to prevent him from becoming a monster like himself. Milo refuses to listen to him. He claims he just wants to live like Morbius. He doesn't care what it could cost him. After moments of debate, Morbius decides to chase Milo away. Meanwhile, FBI agents Stroud and Rodriguez take over the case. They visit Martina in the hospital, show her pictures of the dead bodies, and inform her that the victims were drained of their blood. They ask if she knows anything, but she insists she is still tired and needs to rest. In the next scene, a nurse in Martine's hospital feels something around her and is attacked by an unknown creature. The following day, Morbius discovers the nurse is dead and her blood is drained. He assumes he was the one who did it while in his vampire form, and he tries to escape. He is confronted by Stroud and Rodriguez. As they decide to arrest him for investigation, Morbius retaliates and runs away. After an intensive chase, Morbius is eventually captured and imprisoned. While at the prison, he realizes the time frame for his artificial blood has been reduced to 4 hours and 22 minutes. He meets with Stroud and Rodriguez and asks them for blood, but they refuse. Milo disguises himself as his lawyer and visits him later while promising to bail him out. He promises a pack of blood for Morbius after he leaves, forgetting to take his handstick. This is when Morbius realizes that Milo is now cured and he has taken the serum. He realizes Milo killed the nurse. He knows Milo will do much more than if he isn't stopped, so he takes the blood and breaks out to find Milo. After witnessing Milo killing an innocent man, Morbius goes to confront him. He urges Milo to stop, but Milo argues they've always feared death, and he's not going back to that. Instead, Morbius should join him. Unable to please each other, the two end up in an intensive fight across the street and to the subway station. Some police officers try to stop them, but Milo kills them and drinks their blood. Morbius decides to retreat since he doesn't want to hurt his best friend. The FBI agents arrive at the location and they see the victim's body and assume Morbius killed them, so they place Martine in surveillance. Morbius meets with Martine, updating her on the situation. He then asks her to bring some laboratory equipment for him. Later, he follows 2 thugs into the money printing lab to take over their lab. He uses the lab to develop a serum that is able to reverse the effect so that he can stop Milo. Meanwhile, Milo gets furious with some men in a bar, and he waits outside to attack them. When Martine goes to Morbius's lab, she meets Milo there, who asks her about Morbius's whereabouts, but she insists she doesn't know. Martine takes what she needs and returns to Morbius. The two eventually lead to a kiss, and Milo watches them from a distance. When the FBI agents arrive, they assume it is Morbius again. But CCTV surveillance shows it is Milo, as Nicholas watches the news, realizing that Milo is intentionally tarnishing Morbius's name. He confronts Milo, who asserts that Nicholas will never support him, and that Nicholas cares more about Morbius. Furious, he attacks Nicholas and injures him. Meanwhile, Morbius successfully creates an antibody to kill himself and Milo. Soon he receives a call from Nicholas and he goes to help him. When he arrives, Nicholas tells him to save Milo and dies soon after. Morbius then uses his superpower and senses that Milo has gotten Martine. He immediately rushes over only to see her injured and lying on the ground. She offers him to drink her blood so that he can become stronger, as he has been relying on artificial blood. When he kisses her, a drop of blood falls into her mouth, and he proceeds to drink her blood. Furious, he goes to fight against Milo, who is seen happy for him to finally drink human blood. The 2 vampiric creatures then engage in an intensive fight, but Milo is way too powerful for Morbius, and they end up in an underground tunnel. Looking at the bad situation, Morbius suddenly recalls that he can control bats. He commands a swarm of bats to hold Milo, and he takes this chance to inject Milo with antibodies. The FBI agents soon arrive, and Morbius escapes with bats surrounding him. Meanwhile, Martine has resurrected as a vampire because of the blood she drank during the kiss. In the credit scene, Adrian Toomes finds himself transported to that universe and finds himself in prison. The scene changes. Morbius is seen meeting up with Adrian, who suggests that superhumans like them should team up for more exciting adventures ahead. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Leave a like to help the channel out. Also leave a comment if you'd like us to recap your favorite movie. Thanks for watching.